and I work for EY as a pen tester, specialized in application security. So you might have already known about OWASP, but just to be on the same page, OWASP is a non-profit charitable organization focused on application security. So OWASP local chapter is like this is a non-profit organization. So around 100 countries, it's live on around 100 countries and 200 plus of projects. I mean the local chapter, and we are glad to announce that we are also part of it. So it's highly active in OWASP Bangalore and Delhi. So we were having a discussion, why not in Kerala? We have a huge technology here, IT parks, but we don't see anything like open source projects where people under one roof talk about security, talk about knowledge sharing, all those stuffs. So we contacted our the associate for us associates, and they gave us the permission to conduct so. So, like I said, the OWASP is a community-driven project. So it's by the community and for the community. So definitely we need a support because otherwise it cannot exist. So when I mean support, you can either be a speaker. So now call for paper is already online. So for the next event, you can start. There is a OWASP.org site, and you can you submit your papers so that the reviewers would review it. And if you're approved, you'll get a mail. Second is you can share your knowledge. It's a you need to network. Conferences like this. It's not like you listen. You need to network, talk to each other, talk about security flaws, because security is the main thing. When you work for your clients, it's not just about programming. It's about secure programming. Otherwise, if there is all this hacking stuff going on. Even today, if you'll see the jQuery framework, the site, it was hacked. So all those things would be discussed. Mobile technology, Android, iOS, BlackBerry, mobile phone, Windows, Windows, and desktop-based applications, all those stuff. And also cybercrime is one more. We don't know whether we have anybody from cops here, but cybercrime is another whole story. So then the next thing what you can do is you can take up OWASP projects as well. You can check the site. There are a lot of huge projects. You can participate in it. And you can also be an event coordinator or moderator. I'm one of the event coordinator for OWASP. There are a lot of other guys as well. So you can also be part of it. We can talk about it late after the call, after the presentation. If you're interested, you can contact to Rija. He's the chapter lead over here, and or you can talk to me. So I think that's all I had for the welcome note. So without any further delay, let's invite our first speaker, Vishnu. He's a pen tester for EY, and he'll be talking about Android security.
Thank you, Sajid. Good evening, all. My name is Vishnu. I'm focused into more of web application security, and Android is not my professional area of expertise. This is my personal area of interest. So anybody who have a doubt or a question can stop me at any time. I do not promise that I'll be able to answer all the queries, but still I'll try my best. Just to know, is anybody working as an Android developer? I saw somebody. Okay. Okay, can we start? So just to, yeah, this will be the basics of, basic topics that we are going to cover today. That is what exactly Android security testing is, or how, as Sajid already mentioned, it's not just in developing the software. You'll have to watch out for the bad guys. So you'll have to, you can't make anything hack-free. There is nothing like that. So we are just working towards developing secure applications. So in this presentation, I'll be covering about the basics. Just since we have limited time, I'll not be able to elaborate much into it, but still I'll be sure that by the end of this session, you will learn what an Android application is, what it exactly does, what you can do with it, and a few attack patterns and something like that. Okay, to start with, so Android, it's like it's a Linux based. Everybody knows it's a Linux based. So why do we concentrate on the security testing of Android, and why not any old platforms like Symbian or anything? That's just because of the popularity that Android has gained over the past few years. So this is basically like, you take the phone, for example. I'm sure almost everybody, most of us would have at least used an Android 4 for once. So it's like you have the application interface. The software stack is basically divided into these layers. That is the application which the user sees. That's like the home, the software, GUIs, everything. And that this is pretty simple. I don't think this requires much explanation. Then comes the package framework. These are the Android libraries, and then the basic kernels for the hardware, camera, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi adapter, and things like that. And now coming to Android application programming. Android application programming is done in Java, but there is something different. It's like, it's not the usual Java. The Java bytecode is compiled into Dalvik code, correct? So that is, Android basically works in the applications are sandboxed. It's like the application has their own permissions. Each application are isolated from the others. The sole purpose of this mechanism is to ensure when Google came up with Android, the sole purpose was security. It's like you have your email accounts configured, your maybe you will have your credit card number saved or whatever. So the structure of this processes is like they work in a sandboxed environment, and they have explicit permissions defined, and there are certain guidelines and mandates to be followed if you want to develop an Android application. That has to be agreed with Google. So this is the Dalvik virtual machine. That is exactly, every application has its own VM. That is what separates it from the other. It works like a virtual machine. So every resource of the phone or the tablet or any hardware it is doesn't have exactly the total privilege to access a particular application's data. So each application has its own DVM. Now, the Android software package is having the extension APK. Okay, so I'll be showing a slight example in this case. Okay, this says the Android storage location is data package name. Does anybody have what exactly this means? The first line. Sorry. Okay, I'll show you. For example, let's assume that we have downloaded a software from Google Play Store, and we have backed up and got the APK file. So where is it? Once you, for every software you download and install from Google Play, the APK gets saved somewhere in your device. This is the location. This is the root location, and you will have to access this. For this, I'm using a customized operating system. This is Ubuntu. This is done by mobile information security researcher Aditya Gupta. He has actually customized this with the tools that we use, the most common, widely used tools for Android penetration testing. So what we have to do, first thing you have to keep in mind is there is something called an Android debug bridge. That is, it enables you to connect the Android device to your computer or where you have the software development kit installed. So this is basically an Android device emulator. This is called Genymotion. And the device I have configured is Google Nexus 7, the 2012 version. And this is running Android 4.1.1. So we'll be considering this as our device, and this laptop as our attacker's laptop, or whoever is the security tester, we are going to do it. And this will be the virtual machine from where we are going to initiate all activities like including accessing the Android shell. So first of all, in order to enable, you have to basically by default enable Android developer option in your phone, and then it's like this is the command. Let's see if yeah. In this case, you can see the devices attached to this through the bridge to this laptop. If this doesn't show up, we actually there is a command called ADB connect, which is used to establish ADB connect space IP address of your device. So that basically establishes a bridge between your device to be tested and the laptop. So what I was trying to tell is, then you go do an ADB shell from here. Okay, somehow it got disconnected. Okay, so have you observed the change of the command line from mobile at Ubuntu to root at Android? So what could this mean? We are right now in the Android file system. So basically what we have done here is we have established a shell through a bridge, and we are right now pointing to the Android file location. From here, like anybody who has a basic idea of how Linux command works, you can change the directory to, for example, I'll show you the location where all the default applications you download from Play Store gets saved. So there is a folder called data, again a folder called data. Okay. Now, most of the URLs by default is named, sorry, the URL, it's not the URL, the application is named com.application name dot something something. So if you take a look at this list, this is actually the data folder, and you can see com.czip simple, com.cyanogen mode, com.metasploit, com.lookout, lastpass, foundstone, etc. These all are the APKs, or these are all the directories where the application is residing. For example, I'll open up one of the folders. Okay, so this is basically an APK. Had a few vulnerabilities and had been fixed. Now we'll just have a look at the device. Any questions till now? Yes, here is the application. So this is one application that we have installed, like any other applications we do from the Play Store. And the location, the first thing we need to identify the application, where it decides and what it does. So the first part is over. We have found out the application where by default where all the APKs go into, and that is the folder. And then I'll come to this point after telling you how to obtain this. Okay. And another terminology is about the content providers, which we have to really take into consideration. Before that, I'll explain what the Android manifest.xml file is. I'll be showing how you could reverse engineer an APK. It's like you break the application, try to read the source code. So when you reverse it, you will actually get a file called the Android manifest.xml, which basically has all the permissions. That is an Android permission file. And and there is something else called the content provider. The content provider is actually defining is actually supposed to define the security of all data, or the data that the application handles, the inter-process communication basically. To make this clear, the application on the first, that is Facebook application, and that has been downloaded and installed in our phone, for example. And this is the photo gallery of your Android device. So if what exactly when it happens, when you upload when you take a picture on your phone and then you try to upload it, the content provider is it's like the permission you might have noticed, like when you try to install this prior to the installation step, you'll be shown a list of permissions and you will be asked to accept and install. So basically Facebook is demanding some permissions from your device which you are agreeing and then installing these access. For example, in order for this application to upload the photograph from your phone, it needs access to your camera. If the photograph is taken from your phone, it needs access to your gallery. So these all are defined defined during the development stage, and then the application is made. So that is how the content providers work. Okay, now this is the basic structure of an APK file. The developer writes the code, converts into Java bytecode, and then here comes the Dalvik for the application. Other resources, if anything is required, then the Android manifest file. And this is compiled and this generates the APK. What we will be seeing is how to go from this APK to the low-level bytecode, low-level Java code. So what basically the basic steps are, the first step is like you have to reverse the application. And then after reversing, you will get a few resources, a few valuable resources for a security tester. So you have to examine, there is a standard, I mean, if you refer to OS mobile, or you have a checklist or a cheat sheet wherein these are mandates. These have to be definitely checked for an application. And it's like, for example, you can test for data at storage. For let's assume that one of the application, if you log into the application, it's a banking application, for example, you log in with your bank account number and your password, and you get connected to the bank. You log out, it's done. So we actually are not aware of what exactly is happening in the background. There are possibilities, or has anybody examined that if any of the credentials or any of your data, account number or password or anything, is getting stored on the device, so that it doesn't leave an open door for somebody else to conduct an attack or something like that. So that is basically examining of the resources, the permissions, etc. So I'll be showing another example. Okay, APK in effect is, I'll show an example. So I'll show you an example here. Let's take, for example, the Facebook application, the APK. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this application into zip. So we get a facebook.zip folder there. So we'll just try to open it. So we can see there are some folders and some files. So APK is just another form of an archive or an extract like zip. You have to you can extract the contents and see it for yourself. It's a pretty big app. I shouldn't have done this. Okay. Okay, I have extracted another application called catch.zip. So this is basically, I wanted to show you how simple is it to view the contents of an APK. You just rename, but that doesn't give you a deep or a low level access to the bytecode. You have to do something else. So basically in this case, so that is how basically you convert an APK, or the first step in reversing. You will get the Dalvik bytecodes, or there is a file named the classes.dex. I'll show it. So this is the contents of the unzipped file of the APK, the catch.apk, the application catch. So you can see it contains the Android manifest.xml, the classes.dex, meta-inf, resource arcc. So what our area of interest in this case would be the classes.dex. That is where the code resides, and we are trying to convert this into Java bytecode. So for that, there is a tool available called dex to jar. That means the classes.dex file is actually converted to jar file in order for us to make it in a readable format, in a user readable format. Okay, so I'm going to do a dex to jar on this application. Okay, this is the directory. So you can see the dex to d2j dex to jar.sh file. So that is the one of the freely available tools wherein you can make use of it to convert the classes.dex file into a jar file. So that the next step is easy. You can use any of the compiler, tools, JDGUI or JAT, to read the code. So what we are trying to do here is we are going to apply this APK, that is the catch.apk, on dex to jar. We are going to convert this. Sorry, it's not the catch.apk, it's the dex file, the classes.dex file, and see what we'll get as a result of running this. So this is the command. What I basically done is first explore, navigate to the directory where dex2jar is saved, and then the destination of the classes.dex file where you have extracted it. So it's getting run. Just a moment, I need to run the JD GUI on this. Okay, so this is the command. This is another file. I'll just open the catch. So this is another APK where we have already extracted because I'm not getting the other location. So let's consider this is the agent dex2jar.jar. So in this case, it would have been catch hyphen dex2jar. That is the output of the dex2jar file that we applied on the classes.dex file. So now we are going to open. Okay, so we have opened the converted file using a Java decompiler. And now if you drill down to this options, you can actually see the low level code is, I mean, whatever the application developers have used. So this should be the first thing that an application developer has written. So what we have basically done is we have reverse engineered an APK and obtained the low level source code, what exactly the developer has intended to write. So anybody who is having an Android development expertise will definitely know what it is and what these commands are doing. And now the next step is to search or examine. That is basically simple. You search for sensitive data, like if there is any password or if there is any credit card information or that is being stored. And again, I'll show you an example for that. I'll come back to the slide. Okay, this is what we have basically done now. You just unzipped dex2jar, then JDGUI. So this is how we obtain the Java code from the Dalvik bytecode. So is that clear? So this is how you basically, now you're going to do a code analysis of the application. This is one approach. And now again, there is another tool called the APK tool, which is able to decompile the Android APK files, and maybe it can give much more information. It's not always definitely, so you cannot be so sure that you will get all 100% of the code revealed to you. So there is a tool that is made for this purpose that is called the APK tool. It is pretty simple. You don't have to actually rename this file and then convert all these. You can just save a lot of your time. All you have to do is so this is a list of APKs that we most of us use. There is WhatsApp, there is Facebook, there is LastPass, and everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the APK tool. This is the command. The APK tool is by default configured in this VM Ubuntu APK tool D, and you give the package the APK name. Let's say, for example, lastpass.apk. So this is backsmalling. If you open the APK, you will get some smally files. That is again a part of the development, the code. So this actually does a deep level or an advanced level of backsmalling, and you can see. I mean, it's like disassembling the code to the best level possible with the tool. So again, now we'll have a look at what the output is or what has been generated as a result of this. Okay, now you can see the Smalley files. Again, you drill down, you can go to the deepest level you want. But what I want to share with you at this stage is, let's go back to the presentation. Examining the Android manifest.xml. That is one of the very, very important points while conducting a security assessment of an Android application. So what the APK tool, the output of the APK tool has generated the Android manifest.xml file for this particular application, that is LastPass. Okay, you can see Android manifest there. Okay, here comes our Android manifest file. Okay, this is pretty very simple to understand. This is the it's an XML file, so definitely it will be having this template. You uses permission Android name, the Android permission internet. So that means whatever application is this, it has the first permission that the developer has enabled is the permission to access internet. And then what the phone status, bookmarks, access network state, and things like that. So I'll show you something very interesting. Is everybody using an updated version of Android? I mean, Facebook application for Android? Is anybody using the Facebook application for Android? Yes. So anybody, I mean, is that up to date, or were you prompted to install any updates the last time? Yeah, obviously, yes, of course, you're right. I'll show you. There is some additional permissions. I really don't understand why Facebook is doing this. If you compare the latest version, that I think it's 18, there is a permission. If you check for the permissions before you install, you just try to uninstall the application, you just reinstall it, and then take some time to read the permissions. It actually asks for all versions of Facebook application asks to read contacts, modify contacts, and everything. And there is an additional permission in this version. It's like Facebook has the application to check your calendar information and send emails to your contacts without the owner's knowledge. So in the background, Facebook has Facebook has access to your mailbox, your SMS inbox. It can modify your contacts, and in the worst case, it can send an email to your contacts without your knowledge. Correct. That is why the agreement is shown. It's clearly written in simple English. So one thing I found out as a workaround is what what I do is I try to. I'll come to that point. For applications, every Android application is not reversible. That is the next point where I'm coming to. For applications that are reversible, you can actually check for the permissions in the code. And say, for example, if you do not want the application to access your camera or your microphone, you just comment the line or delete it off. You first reverse the application, get the Java code, examine for the permissions, you edit it, and then again you can rebuild the application using APK tool. Okay, so this becomes an APK tool wherein you have edited the permission. So this doesn't work in every case if there is proper binary protection enabled for the APK. That is what we are coming into. So what exactly can be done to what exactly it does is this obfuscates the Java code and makes it a bit difficult for making the reversing process a bit difficult, but still it's possible. But that is it's practically impossible to make irreversible code because tools are going to detect it. So you have to adopt mechanisms wherein you have to write the code in such a way that if some tool or external tool is attempting to reverse it, it shouldn't happen, or it should be in obfuscated, or it shouldn't easily be reversible. So in this case, we were able to do, and there is simple code. There is nothing, no binary protection applied to it. Okay, that is the basic. Have I told you about Genymotion? No, this is the. Sorry about that. I should have mentioned it in the beginning. This is called Genymotion. This is an Android emulator. If you create an account with Genymotion, you can see 4 devices I have mapped: 2013 Nexus 7, Nexus 5, and another 4.3 version of Nexus and 4.1 version of Nexus. That is currently the machine we are running. So Genymotion actually provides all options. If you can add, you can search for devices. It has got a very huge inventory. Almost every the all different versions you have is like not every Android platform responds for applications in the same way. You will find compatibility issues and things like that. Since Android, I mean Nexus is the developer's phone, so we can choose or finalize Nexus for testing. It is raw Android. There is no customization done by the vendor or the manufacturer. So that is Genymotion. You can download Genymotion and install the image and open it so that you will get an interface like this. And there are commands to install APKs and everything. I'm not going to detail of it because we do not actually need to know them. Okay, like I said, what are the basic common, the common insecure practices? It's hard coding sensitive information, like the code contains critical information. Encrypting passwords is not a good. How many of you support password encryption? If Facebook or some application has your username and password, your username will definitely be stored in plain text. But even if you want to reset your account, an administrator wouldn't be able to change your password because that is not in plain text. So in what form it is stored? Sorry? Hash. A better option is salted hash. So why is it done? Exactly. Hashing is just what, representation, or it's like it cannot be reversed. It's a verification. It's like the hash for this particular string is this. When the user logs in, another hash is generated and just compares with the hash. That is how passwords are stored. So storing password in encrypted form is some most of the I have seen most of the web admins doing it, but it shouldn't be done because encryption is a reversible process, and somebody who is talented in cryptography can spend some time to crack it down. So that is one point to be noted. Do not encrypt passwords. And lack of binary protection. If there is all we were able to do all this just because there was lack of binary protection. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been successful in reversing this APK. So measures would be adopted, like making use of ProGuard to enable reversing or difficult things like that. Insecure data storage, again the same thing. Okay, this is what basically it does. The hacker or the malware gets physical access to your application binaries, modifies. So my application contains no programming flaws. Some developers, when we talk to developers, most of them tell this. The programming or the programmer was very careful, and if the application doesn't contain any application programming flaws, doesn't mean that the application is not reversible or the binaries are not available. It's wrong. The binaries are available to reverse engineering and hacking tools. And the most common, or the bad guys, what they really do is, if you find your target, identify your target, like we said. So what is the real purpose of a hacker getting the code? We have reversed and found out the Java code, and on a security basis, yes, we have learned what the recommendations are, what to be used, what not to be used. But how does a hacker or an attacker take advantage of this? Sorry? Right. He can rebuild the application. For example, you have some malware written to access. The worst case would be that was again reported in one of the firms. I don't know if it's publicly disclosed, so I'm not telling. The webcam access. So malware was written to access the webcam and mic of the Android device. And what I do is I'll just take the snippet of the malware which has the code to access the camera and mic of your phone. That is the code. You integrate, you disassemble the APK code, get the Java code, the basic source code. You inject this malware into the basic code, then you rebuild the application. So that is why we say we do not recommend, or it's not at all safe to download applications from third-party websites. That will definitely be posted by somebody who has eyed someone. That is for sure. So once you install this crafted or the malicious application into your phone, all those permissions, nobody is going to sit and read all those permissions. And these permissions are not listed, and it contains malware also. So the application once gets installed, even if you uninstall it, it's not going to make any changes. Once it gets access, it starts sending logs to the attacker's website. The worst case, it's accessing your mic and your camera without your knowledge. So this is basically the business logic is affected. The proprietary algorithms are leaked. The cryptographic keys that would be contained in the code is leaked. Okay. These are the secure coding practices which we could follow. That is code obfuscation, symbol stripping. Symbol stripping means by default there will be symbols enabled, but that really will not be used by the application. So just examine for the characters, remove all those unwanted symbols, replace all the wanted symbols that couldn't exactly let somebody figure out what exactly the code is doing. Then encrypt strings that are required, that requires encryption. The anti-debug means protection against reversing. If some application is trying to reverse, it should throw some error or something like that. For example, if you try the latest Facebook application, it will throw you an error by the end. The reversing process is not completed. That is because they have implemented some kind of defense mechanism. These all are defense mechanisms just to prevent attack. Once attack happened, we have other steps to react. That is, and much more, we can just find it in any article. What is exploited here? Android basically works on the application trust. So the principle of least privilege, there is something called the principle of least privilege, and that is being violated. Even in it's just you can take from from a real life point of view. It's like you exploit the privilege you are given. That's it. So you have to make sure the principle of least privilege is followed, and all the secure coding practices have to be in place, and APK and things like that. Now I'll show you a quick example. Okay, I'll show you how to, if you have physical access to somebody's Android device, how to bypass the pattern lock, or how to find out the pattern lock. There are two methods. First I'll be showing how to bypass it. That is, you find the pattern and then use the pattern as a legitimate user and access the phone. The second method would be bypassing it. That is, once you restart the phone, there will not be the lock screen once you exploit it successfully. So I'll show it. Similar to the other folder, we have a data system folder in our Android system. That is where the pattern logs, gestures, and everything, or things of that sort. And before that, the Android pattern, it really how it works is, for example, this is my pattern. So that is actually how is it stored in the device? I'll show you how. First, we'll try to break it. Then it's very easy to understand what exactly is happening in the background. So we'll just first of all move to this directory. This is the command to connect the device. I'll have to restart it. I don't know what's happening. So now we are again into the Android, the root folder. So we move to /data/system and check for, okay, so many files. So our attention would be on the gesture.key. Gesture.key is the file which it's a key file and it's not viewable by default. You have to do something on it. That is where the gesture or the pattern is saved. How? Any idea? Okay, for demonstration purposes, I have copied the gesture file from. Your first step is to copy the gesture.key file from your device to the operating system where you are testing. Okay. Here we have a dictionary, the Android Jester SHA1.txt. So that is a dictionary file wherein you can actually compare the hashes of these patterns that are stored. That is widely available. You can download it. It contains a lot of combinations of all possible patterns. What exactly this tool does is it checks for the gesture key. It checks the hash in the gesture key, and somewhere it finds a match, it reports. That is your gesture that is being saved in the system. So let's try to run this command. Okay, this is the command. It's running, it's attempting. So this is basically running. It's getting the contents of, searching the contents of the Android manifest SHA1 text file, and just basically doing a comparison, which is manually almost not useful. So what is the result? What is it shown? Any clue? Right. You see this thing, it's 0147. So just imagine or just picturize this on the Android keyboard. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So this is 0147. So the first location is 1. So what will be 4? 1 4 5 6 and 7. So that means this is your log pattern, 10147. So this is how the Android system stores your pattern. So how easy it is to somebody who can access. So I'll tell you a physical example. For example, if I want to get identify the pattern of your phone, I'll somehow social engineer first, or somehow my ultimate aim would be to obtain the gesture.key of my victim. So as long as I have physical access to the device, he doesn't know that I'm accessing it. And the next thing I want to show is about
What will happen if I replace gesture.key with my own file, my own pattern gesture.key?
no, that is not possible, because it is something that is defined under the Android system. So it has to be like that. The Android system, when it calls for the pattern, it checks with the gesture.
What I'm saying is, I have Android phone, I have a gesture.key in my phone, I just replace this file with this file. Say,
Okay. Are you asking me if the other way around it could happen?
Yeah.
Yes, if your phone is rooted, that is why the root. That is where the root.
Even this, for this also you need a rooted phone, right?
Obviously, yes. If you, that is the first thing you have to do. First of all, and if you have to compromise or conduct an attack on an Android phone, that is what I mentioned in the very beginning. The Android debug mode has to be enabled, and that is something you know you have to get done in some way.
What I meant was the difficulty in finding out what is the pattern is more easier to replace the
Right,
pattern file itself.
right. That is why applications are not given root access. And rooted users are at the risk of getting compromised very easily compared to the unrooted users, because these all are system files and a normal user or application cannot access all these things. So let's assume somehow we find gain root access. How is that possible? I'll tell you a scenario. Just for example, you want to download Facebook application or whatever one application that you are not connected to the internet and you badly want it. So I am there to take advantage. So I will tell you, I have the APK of the APK of the application. You just switch on your Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, I'll transfer it to you. So that will definitely be containing my code to root your phone without your knowledge. So as soon as you install the application, your phone is rooted. So the first step is over. So I have my first step crossed out. And the next thing is somehow to obtain. So if you are smart enough to get your friend's phone rooted with all this knowledge, it's very easy to get the gesture key as well.
This can happen even if you are downloading it from a very not from Google Store.
That's how attackers usually do. I'll be having, taking the role of an attacker. I will be definitely be having a website of my own where I'll be hosting all these things and emailing, social engineering. But the best possible thing is what I'll buy. We all use cracked versions. If you badly want some application and you don't want to spend too much money, if attacking the target is more important for me, I'll pay for the application, I'll buy it, I'll decompile it, I'll crack it, add the malware and host it as free in my website and send you a link that see this application is available for free, the full version. Download it and see how it is. So I just spend some bucks, whatever is my intention, that is done. So these are all the ways, apart from the technical, for penetration testing conducted, social engineering is one of the most. The humans are the most vulnerable things, not the phones and devices. Okay, and that was exactly the point I was coming into. So now let's try to remove the gesture key. Simple logic. You remove the gesture key, the pattern screen is going to get bypassed. You will not be asked for the pattern. So either way you can get it done. If you do it in the first way, the victim doesn't know that his or her phone is being accessed. The other way, you can write a script and upload it in a website that deletes first, that gains root access to your Android phone, and then remove the gesture.key, and the application, the phone bypasses the lock screen. I'll show you. So this is the 1470147 password we found out. Okay, again, we are into the root Android device. Let's try cd/data/system. Okay, we have the jester.key file here. Let's try to remove jester.key and see if it has actually gone. It's gone, right? Yeah. By the way, I haven't tried this. This is the first time I'm trying it. Let's see what happens. No, the emulator itself has some. Yeah, yes, yes. So this is, it should work. I'm not sure. This is how you um, bypass the lock screen. So the first method is like finding out the pattern, and the next is, this is about bypassing. And one more thing, that will be the end of the show. Insecure data storage. I'll show an example of insecure data storage as well. I'm into the application directory that refs folder. So we'll just navigate into it and see what it has inside. Again, another XML file. So XML files will definitely be our area of interest to examine for security. So let's examine. You can use ADB pull LP. So this is an ADB command to pull and push. Like pull command means if you list it, you can see actually the file. It's just a command to copy any file from your device to your operating system. So I have the file lpandroid.xml that is taken from the LastPass application directory. And now we'll see what it has. So this is the XML file. You can read it. So anything scary? What? Login, PW, this is my password. Anything else? So what can you do alone if you don't have the username and you have the password? So this application basically stores your email ID and password that is used to log into the application in the client side. So this application is used to manage all your other passwords. So that was a very funny finding, and somehow it is fixed. And this is one example. So the possibilities are limitless. You can actually, you will have to just frame up and plan how to conduct the security assessment and not hacking or attacking. So so you just presume yourself as an attacker, think what harmful can be done to the application or the system, the integrity challenges. That is something I wanted to again stress about. Yeah, I think I have covered this. Yeah, application integrity challenges. And another thing that is again real time. Everybody fond of the game Flappy Bird? I'm sure most of us have played it. And the history of Flappy Bird is the creator of this application. He made so much of money, some 50 million or something from Google Play itself, just by ads. And the download was enormously increasing like anything. This is a very basic game that is done in 2D graphics, but it's very addictive. Even I have it installed in my phone, and whenever I get free time, I'll play. And the thing is, just because the developer he wasn't greedy and he found it actually very difficult to manage all this money. He was getting lot and lots of money, and this guy was going crazy because of this. And just because of this, he decided to remove this application from Google Play Store. So it's like somebody who wants to play it definitely have to get it from somewhere else. So this is where the attackers come into play. And recently, very recently, that was 1 week back, right? The malware into Flappy Bird was released. That's 1 week. 1 week, I think. One week back. It's like I have the Flappy Bird APK, not I. I'm just sorry. The Flappy Bird APK. You can't find it from the Play Store. So there is no other go. Download it from the third-party applications. In addition to what the game does, just by swinging the bird, in addition to that, it just gives a minor permission to read all pictures from your phone and videos. So once you get this application installed in your phone, whoever has given it has successfully gained access to all your personal stuff, media, photographs, videos, everything. So that is a real-time thing that happened. So attempt to insert malware and rebuild the original application. Example, WhatsApp. I haven't reversed WhatsApp, but there were so much of issues. You might be familiar with the Hike application that is getting popular these days. I have reported some findings to the firm. I'm still waiting to get some reply from them. Seems like they are not curious about the security, but I'm not going to disclose it unless they fix it. So basically, that was very simple. That's a very simple thing. I've got a finding from their website, their blog, as well as their APK. So these are the most common. You have seen the directory of vulnerable applications. All those applications that reside in that folder are vulnerable. Dropbox is there, WhatsApp is there, Facebook is there, whatnot, everything. So you just take this, give it to somebody, you just write your code into it, like Flappy Bird did. And WhatsApp was lacking encryption. If that's very popular. So if you're coming, if you're joining my Wi-Fi, you are connecting to my router or the Wi-Fi that I own, I'll just let you browse, and whatever messages you send, it can be sniffed very easily. And somebody really was taking advantage of it, and anyways, that was also fixed. So they claim that they have implemented some kind of protection mechanism now, but still we are waiting for the smarter guys to break it. So that's about so what I was trying to tell you is, like, the major point we have to note here is integrating or injecting malware, whatever code or whatever you want to get done. That is what the attackers do, and publicizing these applications through media, social networks, emails, file sharing sites. So once the victim installs the APK and the attacker's job is done, everything will get forwarded to his website. So, and what I'm trying to tell from this, again, I'm reinstating, why or what makes it possible for an attacker to insert malware. Let's try a secure development practice in such a way that the application is complicated to be reversed or almost impossible. Or let's make the reverse engineering of the application impossible with the best of technologies we have, so that even if somebody successfully reverse engineers an application, it should make sure, like, while installing, if there is anything else from other than the application content or something of that sort, any kind of a filtering and added security. That is what the developers are advised to do. Again, whatever is being implemented, they'll try to crack it, another release, and this goes on. So we'll expect more to happen about. So that's the basic. There are a lot more to explain. Already I've taken so much of time, so I want to tell you much more, but due to limitation of time, I'll have to wind up this session here. And just let me see if I have missed. I think I'm good. So preventing good people from doing bad things. So any questions? Anything? I'll try to answer. If not, yes.
See, you said we need a root access, and you said that we need to enable the Android developer that mode. So a debug mode. So by means of routing, is it enabling the Android debug mode or other kind of routing is there? No, no, we'll have to. So okay. So for doing all these things, we have to enable this developer option. That's enough. No need to physically root the get the administrative privileges and all. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Low cost. And yeah, yeah. And one more thing, you said that binary protection. If you enable binary protection, we cannot. If you enable difficult. Okay. Play Store.
So the challenge of a penetration tester would be to gain unauthorized access to your network and compromise systems, not compromising, exploiting them with your permission and your knowledge. So that is penetration testing. The other one is Android penetration testing is your application gaining unauthorized access to your application and making the application that you have developed in the way I want it to behave. So the security is breached. So that is penetration testing. Honestly, I don't know about iOS, but I'll not say. Yes, that's what I'm going to ask you. If you are you referring to the application security or the platform security like he asked? Application security, I think you cannot authoritatively conclude that, because these exact all these principles or practice secure coding practices are equally applicable for applications developed in iPhone. I think that is made using that Xcode or something like that, right? So you have to follow these measures anyways. It's just that the technical part would be different. If Java is used here or C is used there, that is the difference. When it comes to device specific, one of the major reasons most of us do not buy iPhones is, one is it's expensive, and the second thing is you have limitations in sharing files over Bluetooth. You just can connect it only one PC. You have authentication everywhere. You cannot install every application. Why? They are trying to make it secure, but it doesn't mean that it is secure. Even the Apple's iCloud is hacked, and the nude photos of celebrities are getting leaked online. All the selfies they have taken. hackers have compromised Apple's iCloud, and they're publishing and they're selling these pictures for bitcoins. So it's
I'd like to add one more thing to that question. Actually, the development cycle, when you're developing an application, it starts from the development cycle itself, right? So most of the modern application, it starts with the secure SDLC. See, if you're from a development background, you might know that. So the from the application's perspective, if you're incorporating that, so that will include all the secure coding practices, the API security, and all this stuff. So that's where the security actually starts. But you cannot define a system or an application as 100% secure. So obviously, if you're developing a new technique, obviously there will be another bypassing technique will come. So security as such, well, it's a confusing term, and obviously methods will come again.
Any questions? Done. Does that answer your question?
Do we have any application security tools for Android, like automation tools like check marks and OSS discovery?
you are referring to automated scanners or something that fine. Yeah, definitely there are a lot of paid applications. So many firms are coming up with this, like they offer services to they conduct audit, application audit. You can there are applications available like you do for websites. Sorry, I don't know about that. Testing. Yeah, there are so many tools out there in the market which conducts Android auditing. That is what they do, automated testing. Attify is there by Aditya. Aditya is one of the experts in Android security. So he has his firm Attify, and there is another thing I forgot the Platorian or something like that. I had that email from them. Platorian or something of that sort. I don't remember because we are more interested into manually getting things done.
The best way would be you can check from OWASP site. That's a beautiful site. You have OWASP top 10 list. The next speaker would be talking about OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities in mobile phones. And you can Google also, and the reach vulnerability and a lot of contributors open source. That's what I was talking about. The huge people who are done it for free. Few people get tested. Few application developers get tested as well.
So it's a very good option to check the OWASP site because the not so famous tools, but it will be very useful. Not the commercial ones, but people who develop for their own purposes, those are made available. So according to your requirement, you can tweak it and then work. So is there anything else? Both are the same. Yeah. Even I had this confusion for the terminology simulator and emulator. But
Simulator is it's a software simulation. Emulator is more of hardware. So you need an emulator for if you're pen tester or if you want to review your application, you need an emulator, like what he showed, Genymotion. Architecture way. That's it.
like if you use a simulator, there are chances that the application might not behave in the same way like it does it on an emulator.
Do we have more questions, or shall we keep it for after the next speaker? Because we have one more speaker. There was.
You said like some user information is like username and password are stored in shared preferences folder inside that data folder. So it is possible to encrypt those username and password and store it in this particular folder, shared preferences, so that no one could attack the application.
Why would you need to save this information even though it's in encrypted format in the first place? Why? That is insecure. If you, I mean, if that is a request set is applicable, use some strong encryptions. It's not SHA-1 and MD5; those are considered weaker. So make sure you use a strong encryption technology if that is required. Only if that is required. Otherwise, you do not have to store. If required, encrypt it. Excuse me for a moment. I think we are running out of time, so maybe I'll answer the queries later.
Yeah, for just one answer, your username password, it doesn't have to be stored in client side. It is to be stored on server side for authentication, right? So now this is a purely non-network based application. You can either hash it, don't encrypt it. Password needs to be hashed. One way, you're not supposed to reverse password. Okay, there is a lot of APIs and all modules, you can do that. So we will invite the second speaker, Rakesh. He'll be talking about OWASP top 10. Now, since he has given you a basic idea of Android, now you will have a clear picture. What are the top 10 vulnerabilities you need to check from OWASP perspective? Now, that's not only the vulnerabilities you have, but this is the high vulnerabilities. So, Rakesh, can you please take up the stage?
Hello. Good evening, everyone. Today I will talk about OWASP top 10 risks. My name is Ragesh. I'm working as a pen tester in ENY, mainly focused on network, web, and wireless pen testing.
I think this would work, right? Yeah.
My name is Ragesh, working in EY as a pen tester, mainly focused on network, web, and mobile app pen testing. Also, one of the event coordinators of OWASP Kerala chapter. The purpose of this session is to provide basic overview regarding the different threats related to mobile apps and their defense. Using the OWASP top 10 list, we will define the different vulnerabilities and explain how to protect against those vulnerabilities. Why do we need a threat model for mobile apps? Because everyone have their mobile device and it got a lot more data than the web apps. Here is an app store growth, which shows the number of apps in the iOS store. At present, the number of apps is around 1.4 billions in the app store, iOS app store. And the total number of downloads is around 80 billions. And shockingly, the number of vulnerabilities is thrice that of the app growth. Here we see the OWASP top 10 risks. The first one is weak server-side controls. Every mobile apps communicates with their backends services, backend services like SOAP UI, RESTful web services, etc. And normally the developers trust their inputs, and the end result will be different vulnerabilities like SQL injection, forceful browsing, and direct access to all. And the recommendations are always validate the inputs, harden the mobile app servers and the services like SOAP UI, RESTful services. Here is an example shows an HTTP request from the mobile app. Here an attacker shows put a single sensitive informations. Uh, the other thing is there are temporary some of the temporary files which we use in the apps can also contain the sensitive informations. Here is an example which shows the apps looks all the credentials or the sensitive data such as usernames, passwords, and the salt mechanism which is used to hash the password. The fifth one is poor authorization and authentication control. Normally, the developers finds an easier way to use the data such as device IDs and subscriber ID, phone numbers to authenticate the app. This will be used for the persistent such tokens. Uh, here is an example of an iOS app. When I invoke the push login page method of of this app, I can bypass the login screen and get access to the admin role without entering any username and password. The best way is to mitigate is implement a multi-factor authentication, use a strong password policy, etc. The M6 is broken cryptography. This can happen in two ways, like implementing the well-known cryptographic libraries in an improperly, and the second one is creating our own crypto libraries. So the best way is to use well-tested crypto libraries to mitigate these type of vulnerabilities. Seventh one is the client-side injection. Here we grouped all the injection type of vulnerabilities like XSS, HTML injection, SQL injection into this. Normally, the client mobile apps using the browser libraries are normally vulnerable to these type of attacks. So the mitigations is to sanitize or escape untrusted data and use prepared statement for data calls. This is an example of an cross-site scripting attack against ESPN app. The next one is security decision via untrusted inputs. Here I will explain it with an iOS app. Normally the iOS have a concept called URL scheme. Here is one of the famous vulnerabilities in iOS is in handling the URL scheme issue. Here we have an iframe and an URL scheme named Skype with a number to call. Normally, the attacker embed this iframe and send to the victim. When the victim clicks on this link, the Skype app will start handling this request, and it will initiate a call to this number without any authentication. So the best recommendation is to validate all the input, digitally sign decisioning inputs wherever possible. The improper session handling is the mobile apps have much longer session than that of the web apps, and some of the mobile apps does not use the session management systems. Also, there are apps which use persistent tokens to persistent session IDs or persistent tokens to for their client server communication. Also, there are apps which uses the identifiers as a session token. The recommendation is allow revocation and of the device or password, use strong tokens and decision generation methods, re-authenticate periodically or after a focus change. The last one is the lack of binary protection, which is basically the apps does not provide any security measures like installing an app in a jailbreak device or a rooted device. And the apps normally have a functional allows debuggers to change the behavior of the apps. So this can be this will be helpful for the reverse engineering to modify the app binary code. And the recommendations are jailbreak detection controls, certificate pinning controls, and debug detection controls. It's an example of an iOS apps in which the Thank you.
He was talking about reverse engineering. One of the person asked the question about how do you mitigate this reverse engineering, the binary files, right? For iOS and Android, you can basically what they do is they use one command line utility to hook this software. So you need to write a function or a code in the application to detect this hook and just prevent it. That is one of the mitigation you can use. Any questions you have? Because we have we don't. There was one more speaker. He couldn't turn up, so so today we have only 2 speakers. So if you have any questions, please you can ask now.
And about the jailbreaking, do we have any iOS developers here? Anyone? If anybody is a developer, please raise your hands. No one. Okay. For the jailbreak detection, normally what happens is that the developers will write a code. Right? They'll set a flag like 0, and they'll set it like they'll be looking for general files like Cydia. You've heard about Cydia, right? Cydia is a repository. So Cydia, they'll be looking for Cydia share. I mean the directories and all the stuff. And those kind of validation checks can be easily bypassed. So that was one part of the mitigation which he was talking about, the jailbreaking detection controls and the debugging. You can remove the application or you can deattach the debug mode to an application. These kind of controls should be added to the development cycle or whenever you're developing an application. And most of the times these days iOS security is becoming a little bit hard to break, because most of the iOS framework, it provides kind of security APIs. So those APIs you can include into your development cycle or your Xcode project, and then you can use it for debugging, anti-debugging, and this jailbreak detection and all. So this makes a little bit more secure in the case of application development. So in that case, that person asked about the security comparison between iOS and Android, right? So iOS have a little bit of an advantage there when it comes to the APIs and frameworks. So it already provides the secure APIs or the SDKs or the libraries, so the developers can directly use it. And even in OWASP, there are APIs and secure coding practices available. You can go through the site. You can go to the different manuals and file downloads. You can check it. All right. So I think we can continue this stuff, right?
Yeah, so I think we have come to an end. Like I said, it's a community contribution. So please do involve, and we are planning a lot of events. We just wanted to see what would be the first, how it goes, the first event. We had a lot of registrations. Majority of the people didn't turn up, maybe because of the weather or something. So if for the next one, maybe we'll look out for a much wider space in Technopark. And it's not just Technopark, it's a OWASP scale. So we're planning to conduct in Cochin. It all depends how strong the community is. So definitely come forward. You know, you can be a speaker or be a moderator, or please involve yourself. That's only how we can grow, by sharing knowledges. And it's open source. There are a lot of things happening. You can check from the OWASP side. You can, you know, implement in your business or open source platforms to work on. So I would just mention my vote of thanks. First of all, vote of thanks to our speakers, Rakesh and Vishnu, for contributing their knowledge. Thanks. And thanks to DBG, especially because space was the first concern. So DBG always very active in these kind of activities, open source, and a lot of stuff's happening. So thanks a lot for Deepu, especially, and the whole team in DBG. And thanks to Rakesh Nahar as well for media partners. And thank you all, audience. So, and one more, who are the board members, please stay here because we need to plan for the next event. So rest of people, if you have any doubt, please contact now, or you can, you know, we have a trying to open up a forum, so you can put your posts over there. So thank you all. Thanks.
And one more thing, we'll be sharing all the PPTs. And one more good news, we have the largest number of registration, more than the Delhi chapter. And this is a very good news. Your crowd, you rock. We got